So rather than keep players in the dark like they did in 2018, Digital Extremes this time around is looking to inform players of what's going on in between the different stages of what they're working on for the year. They just released the latest info on the first phase of Melee 3.0, so let's have a look at what they talked about. The first topic discussed was uninterrupted combat. When Melee 2.0 was introduced in the past with the sword alone, it was more focused on giving you these melee stances. So it was more focused on being able to start and finish a mission with just only a melee weapon equipped. So basically what they're trying to do is that you can start with a melee combo, you can switch to your primary or your secondary if that's what's equipped, fire off a few shots, and then switch back to your melee and continue your combo, and your combo counter will keep going. Currently, if you tried to do something like that, you would lose your combo counter immediately. Ground slams is the next focus. So what it does now is currently when you're doing your parkour and you do a ground slam, it interrupts it and makes you attack straight down to the ground. What phase 1 of the melee changes is going to do is going to introduce you to the ability to be able to target where you want to attack when you're doing your ground slams. So now ground slams will be less jarring, so you won't be just immediately attacking downwards. You'll be able to hold your position in the air and then target the enemies that you want and dive down towards them. I think this is probably going to be one of the best parts of the melee changes in phase 1. And this is mainly because it introduces a kind of an aerial type combat. So it gives you, the Warframe player, much more control on the battlefield and being able to dominate whatever is going on around you. Another change to the melee will be the visual effects. So they'll be changing the look and feel of when you slash with the weapon, as well as when you do a ground slam and all the particle effects happen. It's going to have a cleaner and more simple look to it. And hopefully this will have a positive effect for your game's frame rates, as it's also tied to being able to adjust the amount of particle effects that you see in the game. So you can set this to ludicrous and probably bring your system down to a snail's pace of probably 10 frames per second, depending on how powerful it is. Or you can go lower and lower in the settings until you get an acceptable frame rate that works best for you. Now there will also be some changes to Keybinds because the old system will have some elements that will become obsolete, notably blocking. Blocking will no longer be keybound, and it will be very similar to when Excalibur goes into his exalted mode and he just automatically blocks incoming projectiles. So where you point your reticle determines what incoming projectiles are blocked. Channeling is now a toggle set to your Alt Fire button when in melee mode. Your F button now exclusively swaps between primary and secondary weapons with a tap. Your left mouse button is for gunfire and always instantly does this. Your right mouse button is now to aim, and it will also instantly always do this. There's also another option where they're adding a toggle to preserve one aspect of the older melee system. So you'll be able to toggle an option allowing you to continue melee attacks with the left mouse button in the melee mode. Now because melee is also ingrained in the abilities of some Warframes, for example Excalibur's 4th ability, you will now be able to activate that skill, do your exalted combos, and also use your primary or secondary weapon and switch back and forth between using that and your exalted ability. Another example of this is with Titania. You can use her 4th ability and switch back and forth between her arcane Dex Pixia, the pistols, and Duata, the melee attacks. Valkyrie was also shown, letting players know that you can use her 4th ability, Hysteria, instantly aim with a weapon, your primary or your secondary, and then switch back to your Hysteria combos. Now with channeling, Steve is hoping that channeling will be changed to a double trigger God of War rage mode, and hopefully the channeling mods will be able to work with it. However, if by the end of it all, with all the changes, it works out that the channeling mods can't really work in their current state, they will find a way to compensate players who have invested in these mods. On a side note, Steve was really enthusiastic about showcasing how realistic shadows will be coming in the future to the game.
Right, so you never see shadows like this, right? So you got a proper character shadow. You have all of this dense forest cutting shadows into the environment, which is clearly, oh, there you get the lightning flash that changes the sun direction.
Poor art team.
It really is going to be a quantum leap in...
that looks unreal.
It's a generational leap for the visuals of the game. You see the just absolute correct, beautiful shadows. This really isn't, this is something we should have done for a while. And it's not really going to be some crazy RTX card required or anything like that. This is pretty standard split shadow maps, parallel split shadow maps.
Okay, that looks unreal.
But this, you know, this, yeah, I mean, look at this. Look at how great this looks.
This is dev build, dev.
Yeah, this is our dev build, and this isn't finished, and there's a lot of work in progress art here.
It'll be interesting to see how this affects the game's performance, as processing shadow details in games always directly affects the frame rates that you're able to achieve. That said, what he did show off looks really good, so it'll be nice to see it when it's implemented into the game. Oh, and before I forget, they also mentioned that it will be a two-handed katana that will be shipping with phase 1 of the melee changes. They said a lot of players were asking for that, so if you're excited about it, leave a comment and let us know. And for now, hit that like button if you liked the video, and don't if you didn't. Subscribe for more Warframe content, and as always, thanks very much for watching.